Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Listen, I'm going to go over this post and video here. Crypto Eddie did a very, very interesting post. It's always interesting to see the comments from the community, from the XRP community, whenever Crypto Eddie posts something. It's very, very interesting. And I think it's because she has the courage to challenge the status quo and just kind of reveal the real deal, right? Based on facts and stuff like that. And I think it's hugely important. She shares this post here from Matthew Siegel from Vanet. Uh, he was being interviewed by Tony from Thinking Crypto. Great interview, by the way, Tony. And Tony asked a really, really important question, especially to the XRP community. But it is a very important question. And that is because there's been talk about the Solana uh, ETF and the XRP ETF, and which one would institutions like Van Eck most likely pursue? Now, I know a lot of people, and obviously Van Eck went with Solana. A lot of people are going to say, and I think there's some merit to it, that there is still clout on title for XRP, the company Ripple, which means the XRP ledger as well, because of the lawsuit. Even though we're in the remedies phase of it, and it has been ruled, put out into the world, that the asset XRP in and of itself is not a security. However, VanEck still went with filing for a Solana ETF. Why do you think that is? You really have to ask yourself why that is. And it's not because of biases like within the digital asset space, Solana biases, Ethereum biases, Bitcoin biases, XRP biases. It's based on research. It's just flat out based on research. And I'm going to share this video with you. I'm going to go through some of the comments, and then I'm going to share a video of someone going through the numbers, like people like Van Eck and people like BlackRock and people like Fidelity go through when they make their decisions. So she says here, Solana versus the XRP ETF, Van Eck's Matthew Siegel with Tony from Thinking Crypto. The community wields significant power to shape customer demand, she says, by organizing a collective voice governed by a foundation that directs bold, actionable initiatives through a one-on-one vote by the holders. This new governance structure can ensure the ledger remains competitive and achieves through decentralization, thereby transforming the optics of the ecosystem. And by the optics, it's not just how something looks, it's how something looks in the numbers. In the numbers, right? And listen to Tony here ask Matthew, and listen to his response to this.
Has to approve. There's been a lot of talks about, in addition to Solana ETFs, XRP ETFs. Are you guys looking into that at all?
I think in order to bring an ETF to market, you have to have like a few different stakeholders on board. You have to have, the regulator obviously has to approve the underlying asset. The issuer has to have conviction.
A few number of stakeholders, and the issuer has to have conviction. And what do you think they base that conviction? How do you think they get to a point of conviction? Do you think it's just merely on the technology? How did they get to this point of conviction?
That, the asset's a good investment. You have to have counterparties like exchanges, market makers, custodians who also rally behind the asset. And then you have to be able to find customers who want to buy it. So when we think about Solana, we've got all of those buckets. When we think about XRP, we're missing a few of them.
Do you think he's part of the cryptocurrency propaganda media machine? Like the XRP entertaining content creator is suggesting? Or is he just a guy running a thing and part of doing some research and come together and come to a conclusion based on the research? I know some people are gonna say it's a VC thing, and yeah. The rationale is amazing.
Internal conviction and customer demand. So I'd say that one is less likely.
Internal conviction and customer demand. It's lacking. It's lacking. Now, I know Crypto Eddie's going on about trying to change the optics, but it's not just how a thing looks, it's the numbers. You got to be able to change the on-chain activity. And like that says here, and I think this is important, we have to focus on-chain activity and retail-focused approach to balance the institution-only mindset we see in the community. And that includes the XRP holders who are waiting for the institutions to come in and save the day. You need both, else no compelling ecosystem, and that is the part per the creator of the XRPL. Now, look, and that's cool. You're thinking that we need both. I don't think we need both. I think it won't hurt to have both, but I don't think you need both. Mickey B. Fresh says this: we need an on-ledger ecosystem driving demand for use of XRP in its native protocol and DeFi apps. Both institutional and retail users on the XRPL. The recent roadmap and vision for institutional DeFi on the XRPL is in this direction. Reality is we need an ecosystem that is built, and then we need users and a community that understands more than number go up and will participate in DeFi. But first, the community needs to understand what the vision is for the XRPL, and the role of the community is to participate, including voicing opinion on amendment proposals and showing interest in developments on Ledger. I couldn't agree with him more. Unfortunately, we have too many distractions from the subpar content providers who are out of touch with reality of what they are involved in and just tell stories and spin narratives for views. It's honestly harming the XRP ecosystem, the XRPL ecosystem, and the perception of what the market thinks of XRP. I think Mickey B. Fresh is spot on there. Spot on, I believe, because I've been following the Solana ecosystem, and I see the significant difference in the approach of builders, in the approach of projects. It's just a different approach to growing an ecosystem, and you can't argue with the numbers, right? Like my mentor used to say, CJ, the numbers tell the whole story. The numbers tell the story, not the content creators. The numbers tell the whole story. The numbers tell the story. All right, let me share this video with you. There's a guy here who's sharing the numbers. See here, it's bookmarked. Solana performance.
Of Solana. How fast is Solana today? According to research done by CoinGecko with real benchmarks from mainnet transactions, Solana is able to process around 1,000 transactions per second. This is actually ranking #1 in the entire blockchain industry. The trailing second and third place are Sui at 850 TPS and BSC at 380. Now, there is one major upgrade that has just been released to Solana called ZK compression.
Now-
TLDR, ZK compression is very similar to proto-danksharding that has just gone live on Ethereum. It essentially is a protocol upgrade to bring the storage of Solana transactions to a
So now at the 1500 TPS for the XRPL, I don't know where that is. I know that there's a difference between testnet TPS and actual TPS. Finality, I think, is a little bit different than just transactions per second. I think the XRPL, in terms of finality, does beat out Solana. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I note that. I know you guys are going to be saying what's 1500 and et cetera, et cetera. These are some upgrades that are going on with Solana. He's going to point to some other stuff as well, but I just want to make a note of that.
compression. TLDR, ZK compression is very similar to proto-danksharding that has just gone live on Ethereum. It essentially is a protocol upgrade to bring the storage of Solana transactions to a much cheaper part of the chain's storage. So ZK compression aims to store state on cheaper ledger space instead of the more expensive account space. This allows applications to scale to millions of users. This storage part is the compression. Now, the ZK of this upgrade is used to ensure the integrity of this compressed state, this smaller piece of storage. So what does this look like today? These are the state cost reductions compared to regular Solana. So there are two types of accounts on Solana that's most important today. There are PDA accounts, which are accounts that need to be created in order to interact with a Solana application. And then there are token accounts, which all need to be created in every time you buy or sell or hold a new token. So you see, with the current gas fees on Solana, with a regular Solana account, every time you interact with a new Solana application, it takes 0.0016 SOL. And every time you send, receive, or buy a new token, that takes 0.2 SOL to create that account. Using ZK compression, these numbers are effectively 160 times to 5,000 times cheaper. This might not be useful for everyday users to interact with 10 to 50 different tokens. But for a developer, this is a huge difference. Imagine this scenario. If we are minting 10K token accounts to 10K people for airdrops, using regular Solana token accounts, that takes $2,600 with Solana trading at $130. With ZK compression, that only takes 50 cents. This is a huge difference and removes much of for developers. Essentially, you don't need any startup capital to airdrop 10,000 tokens to 10,000 holders. And what's cool about this is that the ZK part of this doesn't live on a separate layer or a layer 2. Instead, the co-founder of Solana, Anatoly, also have replied to questions before, saying that there will be no fragmented liquidity or bridging involved in order to use ZK compression. This is actually a big upgrade that I'm very excited about, which will open up a lot more usability, especially developer activity for Solana. Now, going back to the performance of Solana versus other chains, not only is the transaction per second numbers very impressive, but also the adoption numbers is absolutely exploding. Let's take a look at a few examples here of Solana versus, for example, Ethereum. So the number of active addresses on the Ethereum network per month is averaging around 10 to 15 million active addresses per month. When looking at Solana, even though they were trailing behind Ethereum in 2023 at around 7 to 8 million active addresses per month, this number has completely exploded since the beginning of this year, going to 20 million, then now reaching almost over 40 million active addresses. So there are twice as many different addresses that are active, trading and using Solana blockchain every day, twice as much versus Ethereum. Here's another more in-depth chart comparing daily active addresses and the trends between them. And this chart tells a similar story. So you see, in the summer of 2023, Solana was showing a little bit less daily active users than Ethereum, but since the beginning of 2024, this number has continued to go up. So the daily active user count is continuing to increase. Now, there are a few other interesting metrics to note. Number one, the daily number of transactions on Solana is actually
I don't know why it takes
15 times more than that.
So anyway, two things. The ZK thing, this guy has a tech background as well. But the most exciting thing the thing that he was most excited about the ZK compression was that it was going to attract more builders. is going to attract more builders. And now he's going on to say that the active users, even though Solana trailed in the beginning, has picked up and passed Ethereum by double. Active users by double. Right? These metrics are important. These numbers are important. A lot of people, the entertaining content creators, are going to speak and they're going to think meme coins, and they're going to completely miss it. They're going to completely miss it. There's a trickle down effect, right? In anything, but especially in my opinion, in digital asset space. Now, here's what I mean by that. You have to draw them in. You have to draw the community in. You got to draw retail in. And the meme coins, which may be about 50%, is attention. It's drawing people in. And eventually, a percentage of the meme coin people, right? A percentage of the meme coin people have some Solana, and they're looking to stake the Solana to earn some yield. Percentage of the meme coin people are looking to, they have a bunch of Solana, and they're looking to lend and borrow against that Solana. Another part of the people hop on an exchange because they want to trade out of Solana into another thing because they want to hop on Orca and provide liquidity. You understand? It's just attention. The meme coins bring the attention. And don't get it twisted. The numbers are the numbers. There's DEX volume that he's going to go over here as well. Decentralized exchange volume as well. I just found out that I believe Radium on Solana is actually passed Uniswap in DEX volume. I found out today. Listen to Best Answers in this recent video. Radium has surpassed Uniswap. Radium's on Solana. Uniswap's on Ethereum. Is that meme coin? Or is Radium a DEX just like Uniswap's a DEX? It's that utility. These are the numbers. And the number spam tell the whole story. And I think this is important. Why is this important? Because we can't get to where we want to go unless we know where we are. We have to start with where we are first and evaluate. What's the user count? What's the daily active user count? Might as well just showed it. The daily active user count. I think it was Tron and BNB in the top 4. I think Solana was either number 2 or 3. And the XRPL ledger was number 21. It was last. We can't get to where we want to go unless we are honest with ourselves of where we are. And by the way, people like Van Eck and whoever the other person were, they're checking these numbers out. They're not just relying on moving anything of value in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. The activity on chain matters. Like I don't know why people think it don't matter. It matters. Demand for the native asset is demand for the native asset, period. He just said that. He said there was no internal conviction and demand for the product. That's what the guy, Matthew Siegel, just said. There's some more numbers.
Of Ethereum. However, at the same time, the total value locked, or the amount of money that is currently deployed on the chain as DeFi, is actually less on Solana than on Ethereum. Think about why that is. And lastly, the decentralized exchange trading volume tells a huge story. So you see in 2023, Ethereum used to trade around $1 billion of daily trading volume on DEXs, while Solana has about 50 million on average. But by the beginning of 2024, this number has pretty much flattened out for both Solana and Ethereum, which both trade around $1 to $1.5 billion on average per day. So why are these numbers so different? Why is Solana leading in some while Ethereum is leading in others? This is because the use case of Solana and Ethereum is clearly being separated. So Ethereum today is really the DeFi heavy chain for whales, for large institutional buyers, and for people that are parking a huge amount of money on Ethereum for a longer period of time for passive income. This is why the total value locked on Ethereum is still much greater than that of Solana, about 15 times greater. However, looking at the daily active addresses and the daily number of transactions, this tells me that Solana is actually capturing a huge amount of retail audience, much more than that of Ethereum. You might have been seeing this among retail friends that just got into crypto this year. Most of them are onboarding into crypto through actually Phantom Wallet on their smartphones. Very few of them are actually using a MetaMask Mobile or Trust Wallet, or even Binance for all that matters. This will also explain why the decentralized exchange trading volumes are actually much similar for the two chains. On Ethereum, there are a much smaller number of active addresses holding, on average, a larger amount of money for a longer period of time, but their individual trading volume per trade is greater. However, on Solana, there are a much bigger number of people using the chain with their average transaction numbers or amount actually being smaller. But on average, these two numbers match out to be about the same for total volume across the two chains. So TLDR, Ethereum is kind of the whale's DeFi chain, while Solana is the go-to retail chain for things like meme coin trading. I know some people will give Solana flack just because they focus on these small individual retail traders that are trading $100 in meme coins. But isn't this the retail adoption we always look forward to? So keep that in mind before you start to hate on the chain. Now, how is Solana actually able to achieve such a drastic increase in retail adoption? There are two major points that I have already seen early signs of last year. Namely, these are the Solana.
I just want you to think about that for a second. Got a couple of people, Vanek and someone else, that has started the process for, the Solana ETF, Solana's ETF. And yet, it's a retail chain. Not a Wales institution chain, it's a retail chain with a lot of activity going on with $102 transactions, a bunch of people on there trading. And let's say half of it's meme coins. And still, it's the next one in order. It's not the market cap of BNB or XRPL or XRP. And yet and still. You have to ask yourself why. If this dude knows about, he's going to go over Solana Mobile, he's going to go over Solana Blinks, he's going to look at the innovation. He's right. If he knows about this, don't you think Van Eck knows about Blinks? And he's going to talk about Fire Dancer here momentarily as well. Don't you think they know about that? Right? Advancing technology and massive network adoption. Right? That's the difference. That's the difference. And you have to understand, I would watch this video from the beginning if I were you guys. Oh, if I remember to put the link in the description, but it is Solana price prediction for 2025. Why I'm more bullish than ever. The YouTube channel is Virtual Bacon. In the very, very beginning, he puts to rest the misleading and the misleading FUD about the Solana outages and shares the actual numbers for the Solana outages. The actual numbers. Once in 2023, once in 2024. The actual numbers. Then you throw in advancing technology like ZK compression, Solana Blinks, and Fire Dancer. All scheduled scheduled, you know how that goes, to be released in 2024. And I would humbly submit to you today that if there is retail adoption at this level now, without blinks, without ZK compression, which was going to attract a lot of builders, and without Fire Dancer, which will ultimately bring a new client and bring in, which will bring in the scalability and extra speed that it needs. It's important. It's really, really, really important. But I want to do the video on that. Highly recommend you guys check that out and you know, come to your own conclusions. But I'm as an XRP holder, I understand that I can't get to where I want to go until I fully understand where we are. It's just important to understand that. And if we begin to look at where we are, we got to look at how can we change? How can we get better? How can we create network adoption? How can we do that? Solana didn't do it. They didn't wait around for institutions. This guy just told you the numbers is on Ethereum is about these large, massive holders. Coinbase, this unidentified wallet, and Lido, for example, and it's a lot of big time whales with a lot of ETH and a lot of institutions with a lot of ETH, and they're staking. They're just hanging out, and they're taking advantage of the yield that's coming. That's coming for them, and it's really significant, I'm told. And by the way, Solana staking, I'm told, is significant as well. But it's the retail chain. So these are things to understand and say, how can we create that network adoption? Solana didn't wait around for institutions to make it happen. I keep telling people that all the time. And the numbers he just showed you, they prove out. They are appealing to retail. And it worked with viable products that you and I can use. Because I can tell you right now that there are more viable products for you to use on Solana than it is for you to use on the XRPL. It's the bottom line. It's not there. It can change, but it ain't there. That's the reason. This is the reason. There's no, drift protocol, perpetuals, futures thing. There's no margin fi, lending and borrowing. There's no Camino finance. There's no, obviously there's no staking things, right? There's no established decentralized exchange platform like Iridium or Orca. We don't have that. I do believe that those things are coming. But in the meanwhile, how are you looking? What are your plans for creating wealth for yourself and your family, and perhaps even generational wealth? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. All right, fam, there it is. Thanks so much for hanging out. Just wanted to hop on here real quick and share my thoughts with you guys. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think we need more use cases? Do you think the real utility is not there on the XRPL? We need to get to there. And I think, this idea of this whole governance and that whole 9 yards is a great place to start. And if David Schwartz says they want the community to own the chain, maybe we got to figure out a way to get that done. All right, fam, this wraps up your XRP Ripple Daily News in around 0 to 10 minutes. I hope that it has been of value to you. If it has, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you've been hanging out watching the Crypto Siege and you have enjoyed that hangout, you happen to be in that 40 to 45% of people that are hanging out, listening and enjoying the hangouts. If you've enjoyed those hangouts, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get that number from 50% to about 25% or so. That would be super, super cool. I'm going to end this video like I do all my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and I, we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this, perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Bye.